All right, let's talk about a massive, and I mean massive, bet the U.S. government is placing on our energy future. We're talking about $118 million. It's all going into a technology that could be a total game changer for clean power. So let's break down exactly what this is all about and why it matters.
Okay, so first things first, we got to set the stage. To really understand why this investment is such a big deal, you have to look at the big picture. And that picture is the incredibly ambitious goal the United States has set for itself when it comes to climate change.
And there's the magic number, 2050. That is the target year for the entire U.S. economy to hit net zero emissions. Now just stop and think about that for a second. That means changing literally everything. How we make our electricity, how we grow our food, you name it. It's a truly monumental task. But that brings up a really tough question, right? I mean, it's one thing to talk about electric cars for our daily commutes, but what about those super heavy-duty sectors that are, the backbone of our economy? We're talking about things like airplanes and long-haul trucks. You can't just plug a jumbo jet into a wall. So where's that clean energy supposed to come from?
And that question leads us right to the technology at the heart of this whole thing. One of the key solutions that's getting a ton of investment to solve that exact problem is biofuels.
So what are biofuels exactly? Well, in a nutshell, they're liquid fuels made from renewable organic stuff. We're talking things like leftover corn stalks from a harvest, special types of algae, or even waste. The dream here is to create what they call a drop-in replacement for gasoline or jet fuel. Something you can pour right into the tank, but it's renewable and has a way smaller carbon footprint.
Okay, so why the big push for biofuels? Well, the Department of Energy sees some massive potential here. For starters, they're aiming for at least a 70% cut in emissions by 2030 compared to regular fuels. That's huge. Plus, and this is a big one, since they can be made right here at home, they could really boost America's energy independence and kickstart a whole new bioeconomy.
But here's the thing, right? To get from a really cool idea in a lab to something that's actually powering our planes and trucks, you need serious cash, a serious investment, and that is exactly what we're talking about today. Yep, the U.S. Department of Energy is putting its money where its mouth is, awarding more than $118 million to really hit the gas on biofuel production. And listen, this isn't just a few small research grants. This is a major federal push. The whole point is to get this technology out of the lab and into the real world fast. And that money isn't just going into one big pot. Nope, it's being spread out very strategically across 17 different projects. These are at universities and private companies all over the country, and each one is tackling a different piece of this big biofuel puzzle. So what's the main goal of all this cash? It's really to de-risk the technology. Basically, it's about making it safer for private companies to invest down the line. It's about building a clear path from a scientist's lab to a real-world refinery by knocking down those big technical and financial walls that have slowed things down in the past. And they've got a really smart tiered strategy for this. Think of it like a pipeline. It all starts with funding for pre-pilot projects. These are the ones testing brand new ideas. If that works, the money helps them move to a pilot plant, which is a bit bigger and proves the tech actually works. And the final step? Funding huge demonstration facilities to show investors, hey, look, this stuff is ready for prime time. And just to give you a little taste of the kind of cool stuff being funded, you've got a company called Algenesis out in California in that early pre-pilot stage, and they're working on turning algae into jet fuel. Then you've got LanzaTech at the pilot stage, figuring out how to turn industrial waste into energy. And then there's the big one, Ava Paco in Georgia. They got a whopping $80 million to build a full-scale net-zero biorefinery. Pretty amazing stuff.
But this investment, it's about so much more than just the science or the fuel itself. The vision here is actually way bigger. It's really focused on the economic and community impact this could have all across the country.
And this is where the impact really goes beyond the fuel tank. The whole plan is designed to create good-paying jobs, a lot of them, in the rural communities where these biorefineries are going to be built. Think about it. It's about building a whole ecosystem, from the farmer who grows the crops to the plant that processes them, supporting small businesses and working families all along the way. They're even partnering with local schools to train up the next generation of workers for this industry, all while making America's energy supply more secure. All right, so let's tie this all together. This $118 million investment is just one step, sure, but it's an absolutely critical one on that long road to hitting that big 2050 net zero goal. And if you want to understand just how ambitious this is, just look at the goals for the airline industry alone.
The target is to produce 3 billion gallons of sustainable jet fuel every year by 2030. And get this, by 2050, that number jumps to a staggering 35 billion gallons. These 17 projects we're talking about, they're basically the seeds that are being planted to grow an entire industry big enough to meet that demand.
And this quote from the Department of Energy really just sums it all up perfectly. It shows that this high-tech push isn't just about the environment, it's also an economic plan. It's an effort to build a whole new clean energy economy that hopefully benefits communities all across the country. So that really leaves us with the big question, doesn't it? This is a huge investment in a technology that's super promising, but also really challenging. It's a calculated bet, a bet on innovation, on American ingenuity, and on a cleaner future for how we all get around. Will it pay off? Well, only time will tell.